Hello, this is Joe. Welcome back to the channel. Well, hey, welcome to my 1000th video that I've posted on YouTube. That's right, this is the 1000th video. Now, if I hadn't been doing this video, the next video I would have done would have still been the 1000th video, but we're going to do a little retrospective about my participation in YouTube and you guys being faithful viewers. Well, stay tuned. Well, as I look at my very oldest videos, so the very first one I did was 13 years ago called Dave is Here, Man. And it's a 3-minute video, and it was really just me and my grandson having fun. He had put on this little mop thing like a wig, and he was kind of acting like his own version of a hippie, I guess. And then sometime later, I did this 2-minute little video called Afternoon Tea. This is the basic iMovie jingle songs that they had on iMovie. Just a little experimental video on having afternoon tea. Not very exciting, obviously. Okay, then 12 years ago, I did this first photography video, 5x7 pinhole box camera. Demonstrating for you and showing you a simple pinhole box camera that has a little special little feature in it that you might be interested in. Well, clearly I did not have a television studio set up. I did not have a table even I was using. I'm sitting on a small couch in this room, but it's set up differently, and I'm just talking, and I don't even have a microphone on. I think I'm just talking across the room. That's how terrible my production quality was. But hey, I do look younger, weighed a few less pounds, had a goatee instead of a full beard. But that was the first of the pinhole photography camera making videos that I made. And then as we scroll down through the list of videos, after that first pinhole box camera video, we did the pre-flashing paper negatives about how I do that in the darkroom. This was an interesting little video called Traffic. So I should pause this and just say that I did have a little kind of an ad hoc production company called Ad Hoc Productions is the name of it. I don't really use that production name much anymore. So this video really was just a video essay about all the traffic and the sites down on Route 66 by the University of New Mexico campus. I had done a lot of hanging around that area anyways, doing street photography, and I thought it was a fun little video essay. I kind of am still interested in video essays, even though I don't do them too often. Other than this traffic video essay, it continued with a lot more of the photography, box camera, darkroom kind of stuff. And 9 years ago, I do a couple more box camera videos. So I'm not making very many YouTube videos very often here. I continue with these other photography-based videos, and then typewriter series intro. I remember I went to a city park, Hoffman Park, and set up 3 typewriters. This looks like the Webster XL747 Brother typewriter. I had 3 typewriters, I think, in this video. That's where the whole typewriter video series started about 9 years ago. Well, this is where the typewriter video series started, here at Hoffman Park. I don't think it was this very table, maybe the one over there, but this is in the shade. It's a little bit better lit. I don't have the blue Brother XL747 anymore, but I do have the blue Royal Century, so it would have been maybe the fall or spring maybe, but a nice clear day nonetheless. And this is where I sat down and started talking about the typewriter series. I didn't really know how far that series would go for. I had an idea that because I had a good sized collection at that time that I'd be able to do a lot of videos about typewriters, but I didn't really know how far it would go. And as of this recording in September of 2025, it looks to me like the typewriter video series is still ongoing and valid and open-ended. I don't know where the end of this video series will be. But I must also mention, thank you for all of your attention and viewing of this series, but I am not the most prolific YouTuber in typewriters. I think Dwayne Jensen has more videos, and certainly more videos about repairing typewriters. He's a professional. I'm just an amateur. And then there is another YouTube channel on typewriters, Mr. and Mrs. Vintage Typewriter. Did I get that name right? I'll put the name down of the channel here. But they have, I think, well over 700 videos of just typewriters alone. So there are other very prolific typewriter YouTubers besides me. Of course, Sarah Everett with Just My Typewriter, another great channel. But this is where my little start in typewriter videos had its beginnings. And then once I did that first typewriter video, if you look at the list of videos, it goes deeply into typewriters consistently after that for a long time. But I did get back into a little bit of photography that same year here, pinhole camera apertures, a little more photography stuff, some video gear. Oh yeah, I had this little camera called a Narrative Clip 2. It was like a life logging camera that took still photos every 30 seconds as you walked around. And I was interested in using it as kind of an impromptu, concealed street photography camera, but it never really worked out all that good. A few more photography videos, and then getting back into typewriters more. A little bit of both photography and typewriters. The flip video camera, so yeah, it was started doing mostly typewriter videos at that point. And that's where about almost half of the videos I've done, just under 500, 460 something, have been typewriter videos of the 1,000 videos I've done. But I did go back to pinhole photography and photography in general periodically over this time. But you can see that I'm now consistently doing more typewriter videos. So this one here on the left, you can see a typewriter video series, episode 32, the 2016 Phoenix Type-In. That was my first Type-In. Well, hey, I'm getting ready for our trip to Phoenix for the Type-In on August 20th, and we have typewriters. And also, I started doing other things. Confessions of an Office Supply Junkie was already a series that I was working on, and if you go up to playlists on my channel, these are all the playlists I've created that sort of categorize the videos into different categories, obviously. Typewriter Shorts is a new category. I'm starting to do typewriter shorts. The Abacus series, question and answer videos, 3D printing, Japanese brand typewriters, Daisy Wheel electronic typewriters, American brand typewriters, Selectrics, typewriter gatherings, creative writing, European brand typewriters, typewriter usage, typewriter collecting, typewriter basics, typewriter maintenance and repair, thermal typewriters, electric type bar typewriters. This was the CubeSat project, a little neighborhood art project. Notebooks, videos I like. One Photo Revisited was a little series I started but never really did too much of. The Camcorder Diaries, Mail Time. This Is Not a Vlog was kind of the sequel to the Camcorder Diaries, where I'm sort of vlogging but pretending like I'm not. The Tape Project talked about tape recorders. Typing Assignments was a huge series that we used to do that took a lot of work for me to put together, but I know you guys got a lot out of it. The Calculator series, Agent 51's Secret Camera Designs. This was a little camera making video series of pretending like I was a secret agent and building unusual cameras. Confessions of an Office Supply Junkie. And of course, the entire typewriter video series is here, and photography videos are all here, and some of my favorites as well. So those are all the playlists I currently have created for you guys to look at and enjoy by category. But you might also notice that in more recent times, I've gotten a little bit more adept also at making thumbnails. So I'm trying to do better on the thumbnail pictures. I've been trying to kind of color coordinate the background to the primary color of the photo. Like, for instance, this one here, playing with color pixel photography. There was some reds in it, so I did red lettering, and then there's some blues in it, so I did a light blue background. Or this one over here on the Selectric, it's a blue picture, so I have this light blue background here and some red lettering to offset the blue. I'm just trying to get better at the thumbnail images, and actually making the thumbnail images for each video is a lot of fun in itself. Another kind of an essay video I did was this one 2 years ago called Tunnels. And it was about my fascination with walking through the flood control channels as a kid that ran underneath the streets, such as this one. So these kind of essay films I wish I could do more of, wish I've done more of. This was another video that probably one of my favorites, was called Shadows. It became second nature for me to observe the natural world, and for such a person as me. And again, this was an essay video on the things that I had noticed about the shadows of trees falling upon walls and sidewalks and buildings as I would do my morning walks. This video right here, Dave's Secret Space Movie Project. This was a friend of mine, Dave Loving, who we worked with years ago. We made a little kind of sci-fi horror movie years ago on analog video called Bosky Abduction. But Dave has been working on a space movie. So this was 2 years ago, and I did the little interview of him at his little studio that he built at his house. And that was another fun little kind of documentary video that I really like doing and I want to do more of. So about 3 years ago, my friend Kevin and I, we took a road trip up to Idaho, and I did a series of 9 episodes that I recorded on the road and edited with my iPad mini. These were all done on iPad with iMovie, and that was a fun trip going up to Idaho and going through Utah and up to Montana, I think it was, and down through Wyoming or whatever into Colorado. So check that out, road trip we did. It was a fun time, and it was a real challenge on every day being able to record enough footage for a video for that day, being able to edit it sufficiently on an iPad, and then uploading it using hotel internet. That was always a problem, but it was fun to do. And then about 3 years ago, this was our friend Bob Marshall came through Albuquerque, and we did a series of, I think we did 3 videos with Bob about typewriters, actually 4 of them. Bob Marshall's writing process. We did Bob Marshall on electric typewriters. The Next Generation, this was his son, and he's into typewriters, and Bob talking about buying a typewriter. So it was a lot of fun having him here and being able to make multiple typewriter videos with him. And he remains one of our close friends and a great contact in the larger typewriter world. So eventually I came across this person on the internet. Actually, he came across me. This is Ethan Moses. He has a business called Cameradactyl Cameras. He lives in Albuquerque. He finally figured out, I guess he saw my videos and finally figured out, hey, I live in Albuquerque too. And so we got together. He contacted me, I think it was. And so we've been close friends ever since. We've done some collaborations. And this video down here called The Pencil Whisperer was one of the videos that I did about Ethan when he was making like 3D printed pencils and getting into the world of pencils. So this was an experimental video again. It was Ethan and I having fun, and he was showing me all of the experimental 3D printed pen and pencil bodies that he was working with back then. This turned out to be a fun video, a fun collaboration, and we have collaborated in recent years like the Handy Desk Project and other things like that. But this really was indicative of the kind of creative energy that Ethan and I get into when we get together often. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when I came over this morning to Ethan's and he had dozens and dozens of mechanical pencil bodies that he's been 3D printing. There's obviously something going on here. We're going to have to investigate further. Well, I've found over the years that YouTube is a great venue for showcasing things that I'm personally interested in. And I'm the kind of a person that has a weird enough set of interests that I have these really specialist kind of subject matters. One of these is a video about how I put an exhibit of my abacus collection at a regional library. Well, the exhibit is up. Ta-da! But I also did, other essay videos like this car wash video, just a little 3.5-minute video on going through a car wash. Yeah, I keep trying to do these essay videos along with photography videos, videos about writing, office supply stuff, creative writing, and of course, typewriters. Camcorder. Hey, what do you got there?
Well, if you wanted chips, I got chips. But the selection of chips at the store is really poor.
Yes, that's right. I think there's a chip shortage. And so, because of the impending chip shortage, along with toilet paper, I'm going to be hoarding chips in my darkroom. Well, that was a great example, maybe not a great example, but that was an example of the Camcorder Diaries. That was 3 years ago during the COVID lockdowns, but I've done a number of those Camcorder Diaries. Haven't done any recently, but that's a fun genre to do indeed. Well, I've used quite a few different cameras over the years since I started this channel. I had a little knockoff of a GoPro camera called an Ape Man that I did some mobile out and about videos. I have a GoPro Hero 7 Black. More recently, I got the DJI Pocket 3. This is a gimbal stabilized video camera that's really nice. It has its own wireless microphone, really great. I've also used camcorders. You guys remember the camcorder series, of course, is Canon Vixia HF R80. Little camcorders are really fun. But the majority of the cameras that I've used for most of the videos I've made on this whole channel have been Micro Four Thirds Panasonic Lumix. I think I started with the G5. I have a G7. This was their first 4K camera. It was a crop 4K. I have a whole handful of lenses for these. I currently use the G7 with this 14-45 overhead as a look-down lens. I can manually zoom in or whatever, and it works okay. I also used a GH3. This was their more video-centric GH line of Micro Four Thirds cameras. But more recently, I've been using the camera you're looking through now. So a few years ago, Panasonic started making full-frame cameras using the L mount, which was a lens mount consortium with Leica and Sigma. Anyway, this is the S5 Mark II by Panasonic. This is what I've been using. I usually use a 35mm lens. I also have a 50, both a 35 and a 50 are f1.8. I typically run this basically wide open at 1.8 when it's in this kind of an environment. Well, when I first started this channel, I had a Windows XP computer, and I believe Windows Movie Maker was a default video editing software. A few of the videos early on were done on Windows Movie Maker, but I had soon purchased this little device, which was an iPod Touch. Now, iPod Touch, they don't make these anymore. This is like a miniature iPad. It's the iOS operating system. And it's not a phone. It's actually smaller than a phone. Because it's the iOS operating system, it came default with iMovie. So I did a lot of my early videos on this little handheld device with iMovie. I wasn't actually using the camera in the iPod Touch as a camera itself. I was importing footage from my Panasonic camera into the iPod Touch. I was using this dongle that has a lightning port connector. You plug it into the iPod Touch or any other Apple device, and it has an SD card adapter. And so you can pop your SD card from your full-size camera into this, and then you could transfer the files to the Files app on the iPod Touch. Eventually, I got a Mac Mini and retired the Windows XP computer, and I continued using iMovie all the way up for the last probably 10 years until just a few months ago when I'm starting to use DaVinci Resolve on my MacBook Pro. But a lot of the videos were done, most of them were done on iMovie with the Mac. Now, audio is actually surprisingly important to video. Video originated from radio technology, so audio has always been the most important component of a video production. And my audio, I use a microphone overhead just out of the screen above here. I don't really like that look of the podcasting setups that people have with the giant microphones hiding their face and wearing headphones. It just seems kind of pretentious. I mean, I know that, like the classic late night TV talk shows like Johnny Carson and Jay Leno and Dave Letterman, they always had a microphone, a studio microphone on the desk more as a prop, because the actual audio was, a guy holding a boom overhead with a mic just above the camera's range. That's how studios do audio. Anyways, I've always wanted to have pretty good audio. I've struggled with audio over the years. I was using cheap little lav mics that had tinny sound. I went to some tinny sounding shotgun mics, but really this dynamic vocal mic I'm using right now is I've used for quite a few years, and it does a pretty good job in the studio for audio. But I also have some wireless mic, a Rode Wireless Go mic setup that I can put on any one of my cameras. Well, let's now talk about lighting. Lighting is always important in video and photography in general. So this particular shot that I do, I'm actually being lit by a battery-powered light panel. It's right up here. It's about 5 by 7 inches in size. It has adjustable brightness and adjustable color temperature. This is a nice little kind of one angle shot that looks okay. But when I'm doing like top-down shots, close-up of things on the table, I switch to my other lighting. So let's do that. Let's turn this off. And this lighting is the one I used for more stuff down on the table. And rather than using fancy dedicated video light panels and with diffusers, I'm using these $8 or $10 hardware store clamp-on lights with daylight balanced LED light bulbs. I have 4 of them, 2 on the bottom of my table and 2 on the top. And this is the very inexpensive and quite small lighting setup I use. It actually has the great advantage that it takes up a lot less room than dedicated video lighting setups, which oftentimes are big light panels on their own light stands. I would need 2 of them at least. And in this small studio space, I would hardly have any room to move around if I had dedicated lighting on their own stands besides the table itself. So I think I've done enough videos here on YouTube that I might be able to offer a little bit of advice to somebody who might want to get started in YouTube. YouTube is like your own television channel. It is an avenue of creative expression, and you should first of all approach it in that way, not as an alternative to TikTok or a way to monetize, but really it's about doing what you love, being creative, do a good job, and reach deep inside of you and do things creative from your heart. You will find an audience. What people get really tired of, though, is the usual kind of monetization and ads and doing product reviews and things that are obviously intended to generate revenue. I think people respond better when you're giving them something from your heart that they really can enjoy as a piece of creative work. Okay, with that being said, technology-wise, what do you need? Well, you can use your phone. If you can manage the memory, transfer the clips off of it. What do you need to edit with? Well, you can actually edit if you have, again, an Apple phone or Apple tablet, iPad, you can use iMovie. But there are like DaVinci Resolve is a great video editing platform, which I'm using. There's a free version that gives you plenty of capability. You don't really need any more. But the vast majority of videos that I've edited were on an iMovie, on a Mac of some sort. And it is an easy way to learn video editing. And then you can advance from there into DaVinci Resolve or whatever without really having to buy a standalone software. If you have a PC platform, again, DaVinci Resolve is probably the best solution for you. As far as a studio or space to do it in, it really helps to have like a consistent style. And my style's changed over the years. My backdrops have changed. I've shot some videos in the garage, which was always a problem when my wife wanted to run the washing machine, and I have the sound of a washing machine going in the background. I'm sure you've seen and heard some of those videos. But I have this spare bedroom that's my little studio, and currently the setup is a bookcase behind me, a little homemade table here, and there's not a lot of room, so I have to be conscious of I have this narrow angle of view that you can see that kind of isolates you from the rest of the clutter. So it helps to have kind of a fixed little set of sorts that you can set up in your house that's not too obstructive to your family's life and your lifestyle. Get a camera. I'm not going to advise you on what to use. I would say in general terms, you probably don't want a camcorder because they aren't as sensitive to low light and they generally don't have as wide of an angle. They're more like telephoto zooms is where they're good for. But a mirrorless camera of some sort with a good fast lens works really well. I see a lot of people relying too much on autofocus in the studio where it's a fixed distance and you see the camera hunting. So I've always thought, unless you have a really reliable autofocus system in your camera, set it up to manual focus, manually focus it, or set it up to single autofocus at the instant that you start recording. And so then you have the focus box on your face. I'm using a remote start so that I can start it recording, and then I know that's the focus point it's fixed on. It's not going to move. And then if I want to show something close up to the camera, this now is set up for autofocus, this S5 II Lumix, but the older Micro Four Thirds cameras weren't as good focusing, so I would have to use this, half press it to refocus on the focus box. So understand how your camera's focus works. Make sure you're not relying too much on autofocus because it can be distractive, especially if you're showing like a typewriter repair and your arm gets in the way and now the camera focuses on your arm hair. If you're doing close-up work like that, put the lens on manual focus. Focus on the thing you're working on, and also make sure that you stop down the aperture. When you're working close in, you need a narrower aperture than you think in order to get enough depth of focus for the subject matter to be in focus. Manual focus, stop down the lens, increase the ISO, make sure you have good light, and then you'll be focused on whatever it is you're showing us, and when your arm gets in the front of the camera won't focus on your arm, right? Those little things like that. As I said earlier, audio is super important. You need a good microphone. Well, of course, I wouldn't have been able to do this without your encouragement. It really came to be over the years that your participation in watching this channel and in commenting has been a great encouragement to me. And, you know, I didn't start this channel, of course, with typewriters, but somewhere along the way, I started doing typewriter videos. It has made a huge difference, I think, in terms of the focus of this channel. I've had a consistent subject matter that I can talk to, but having done 460 some odd typewriter videos, you know, there's a lot of other kinds of videos that I've done on this channel, as we've seen. And I just want to let you know that I still am excited about doing new videos all the time, and I look forward to you guys sticking there with me. Thank you very much for your faithfulness that's caused this channel to have 1,000 videos. And until next time, of course, let's all say it together now. Stay creative and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.